I got a feeling that you got me covered too. I got you covered. I got you covered.
Welcome everybody tonight to Blessed to Crochet. And we have a special show tonight for those that are coming on in. We are going to have my daughter and two other ladies that were pivotal people in Christina's life that assisted with her behavioral therapy. So these ladies have stayed after the services stopped, which doesn't always happen. Um, to be able to be mentors to Christina, and they were so pivotal. And I really hope people that if even you're not dealing with somebody who has autism is more prevalent today. It's something that's around us. And it's just great information on top of the fact if you are dealing with a child with autism, there's different kind of therapy. We did everything, but one of the key ones we did was behavioral therapy in the home. And it really made a huge difference in Christina and our family's life. And so I'm going to have these ladies on and Christina. So we're going to start with, I'll introduce them, and I want to give both Meredith and Shanna time to let you know what their educational level and where their experience is and a little bit about them. So I'm going to do them one at a time. We all know Christina, right? So we know my daughter. I'm going to put Shanna on the screen. That's Shanna. So everybody, I hope, will come in and say hello. And then we, of course, have lovely Meredith. And we then have the star of the whole thing and why this all came. And of course, my mom is in the chat too as well. And we have Christina. So I want Shanna to take a moment and let her give her background a little bit and her experience. So I just haven't picked two random strangers out of nowhere. They do have a lot of knowledge and educational things. So as they're talking, if people are coming in, I may not necessarily say hello because I don't want to interrupt either one of them. But welcome, Jaden. Welcome, Sandy and Shanna. Go ahead and let people know what your educational background and all that kind of stuff and knowledge is.
Sure. I've been doing ABA therapy since 2017. Christina was actually one of my first clients. So as of now, let's see, it's been about 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, so 8 years, of ABA background. I am now a student analyst and I am in my master's program to become a BCBA like Meredith. I feel like I've gained a lot of experience since Christina, from kids aging from 2 to 22. Yeah. So
and what you were saying, you were a student analyst. What does that mean to people that may not understand?
So, okay, yeah. So basically, a BCBA is a board certified behavior analyst. I am a student. So I am right underneath them. They basically put all their work on me. So I'm learning the ins and outs of the behavior plans, all the behind the scenes things that go on when you meet a new client, how to form a behavior plan, what's best for the client, what tests to administer, when, so I'm learning all the background stuff, and just instead of, what you saw of me coming to the home all the time, I would be more of like a Meredith who would oversee what I am doing. So now I'm more writing the plan instead of implementing the plan.
Oh, I remember those plans.
Yeah.
I'm sure Christina does too.
Yes.
And
those page-long plans. Yeah.
Meredith, let me give you a moment to tell people. And Meredith, on just a side note, does have a family relative that has autism. So she not only has from a a professional standpoint, but she has from a personal standpoint of having somebody in their family with autism. So I'll let Meredith introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Meredith. I'm a board certified behavior analyst. Like Mary said, I do have a younger brother who's on the autistic spectrum. He is on the higher functioning side, along with other comorbidities, disabilities. But you know what? It's all about just like giving a voice, to those who, like might have a natural handicap of expressing themselves in a way that is functional and that can relate to people. So that is why I got into the field. I've been in the field since it's been over 10 years. Let's just say that. And when it's over 10 years, you're just like, oh, like the exact details are, not to age myself, but, and I met Christina around, I guess, 2016, 2015.
I think you were there a
Holy,
couple
it's
of
been
years.
that long?
Yeah.
Yes. We've
'Cause I was
been this for the
17.
long haul. Like if a child was birthed from this, they would be like going into third grade. I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So that aside, I have a master's degree in of science, but my master's was on the ABA track, applied behavior analysis. So specifically through that track, it was I got my master's degree from FIU, and I started out as a behavior assistant in the field. That was back when that title existed. Yeah, now it's RBT, Registered Behavior Technician. So fancy.
The other one sounds so much better. It's like what they did with Asperger's. It's like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. So I really did start from the bare bones up, from barely making, well, actually, probably minimum wage, to going actually around the time that they came up with the registered behavior tech certification. I was a student analyst. I got to Shanna's position, and then they just like last minute put RBT tag onto my certification for the company. But by then I was where Shanna is. I knew the ins and outs. I was practically running Christina's case. And then as soon as I became a board certified behavior analyst, the BCBA before me was just like, you need to take on this case. You're the natural successor. That, and also I was already attached to the family, and like likewise, like I'm assuming that y'all were attached to me.
Yes, we were very much so.
So I was just like, no, my job's not done. I'm not going to move on to another case. I need to get this case as my first case as a BCBA, and I did. Luckily, I worked for a very understanding company, so it just naturally passed along to me. I think I managed it for until like when I became a BCBA, it was 2016. So I guess another 3 years until you guys moved up to Ohio.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my whole history with.
I remember right when you first came in. I think Christina probably showed, I think, for Meredith, and I'll start with her first because she was the first one before Shanna. When you came in, she showed her colors very quickly, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I actually felt like I was in one of those movies in which like the stepmom was meeting the stepkids, and y'all were just like like hazing me, and well, Christina was. The rest of the family was very nice, but Christina was hazing me.
I was trying to make sure you were okay. Okay.
I do believe that you told a few lies to your mom that I got in trouble for and I didn't get in trouble for it. She just like brought it up to me and was like wondering if everything was okay. I was just like, I thought it was making like groundwork work, but I guess not. I'm back at zero now. So I legit felt like the stepmom. Like I was coming into a situation which like I think the previous analyst, because I think I came onto the case around the same time that the analyst before me came on. So the analyst that managed the case before the both of us came on to the case together, kind of left the case kind of went astray a little bit.
Well, what I mean by true colors is oftentimes autistic individuals, when they're going places, especially in an environment where they're going to be, in an office or a counseling session, they mask. In a home, they're in their own environment. So people would go, "Oh, Christina, she's just wonderful," and I go, "Yes, she is." But do you not see what I'm dealing with, Mom?
I can. Not to interrupt you, Mary,
No, go
but
ahead.
I remember my first day with Christina so well because it was one of my first cases. I remember walking in with Meredith and you saying she's on her way home. I had met you. She was not there yet. She was supposed to be, but she was in a mood because something with McDonald's. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm intimidated. It's intimidating,
You probably lost McDonald's that day.
Yeah. And she wasn't the most accepting, because one, I can understand her position and like, who is this person coming into my house? I think I had like almost 30 hours a week with her. And that's a lot to spend with someone you don't know. So one, it's intimidating for me. It's intimidating for her. But I remember her coming in and like my palms were sweating because I'm like, is this girl gonna like me or not? And she sat on the ground with Jordan. And of course, your husband was there, Mary. You were there asking me questions about myself. And Christina, do you remember the one question that you asked me? And that was your deciding factor, because in the ABA world, when you go meet the family, not only am I looking for a perfect fit, but you guys are looking to see if I'm a perfect fit too. So it's an interview of both ways. It's and it takes a couple days, I think, to really decide like, okay, are we meshing or not? But do you remember the question? What was it?
Narnia.
I had a feeling that was the question.
Was it Narnia or Harry Potter?
No, Narnia.
No, Narnia. It was Narnia.
Harry Potter and
no, I'm sorry, Star Wars. Star Wars.
No, it wasn't even Star Wars. I'm the one who introduced Star Wars to her.
But she asked me, "Are you more of a Star Wars fan or a Narnia fan?"
Because of what we talked about, like I'm probably like the only person that passed the vibe check that was not crazy about Narnia. And I was very upfront about it. And I was just like, I don't know nothing about this.
And constantly, like, there was a battle between us of like which was better, Star Wars or Narnia. And obviously you said Star Wars, I said Narnia, and I was looking for somebody to side with me, hoping that I'd at least like not sound.
That was her deciding factor.
And when Meredith came
will
in,
you be a good fit for me? Will we mesh well? I know you'll mesh well because you like Narnia. Like that's, so
because
yeah,
that's one thing I could, because that's one thing I could like. That's one thing. I don't know. I guess it's like just one thing that I knew about. Like, so there's like, how do I explain it? My brain.
A characteristic trait that you're looking for in people?
No, it's more of So for me, like movies and TV shows, just for example, like Narnia, I know a ton about. I could tell you like, I could give you like a biology of the whole thing, and there's other stuff I have no idea about. So it's like for me, one thing, if you do love Narnia, that's one thing I can connect with you about, and we can start. That's like one thing we can start a relationship off of because I know about it, you know about it. Star Wars for me is like I have no idea what the heck this stuff is. I don't like it. I think it's boring.
Look at it this way. I was prepping you for your future husband's interests. I was prepping you so hard for that.
You were. But yeah, but no, I guess it's just for me, if I can find something in common with you, then I can talk with you and it's easier to do so. Because I have a hard time in general with talking to people.
There's so many aspects of ABA therapy that we could touch on, you know.
I think this will require a part 2.
I think for sure.
You know, if you want to start from the very beginning, it is pairing and choosing how to choose your therapist, and not being afraid to say, you know what, my child did not pair. We've tried for a week. It's not going great. Because I think a lot of people get turned off from ABA therapy because they bring someone in that, you know, isn't a good fit, and it's okay. Nobody should take it personally. And then they're like, you know, they wipe their hands clean with it. We don't need it because we didn't pair with this first person. I think I call it therapist shopping, and I had to do it for myself. You know, when I go to therapy, and I had a therapist shop. It's just the way it is.
And I'm not gonna tell the story. We had one bad apple amongst all of the therapists that came in. I'm not going to go into detail about that story, but they know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. We had one bad apple in the entire time that we had anybody. And I do remember Meredith is not a dog person. So I remember her. Were we getting Jordan, or we already had Jordan when you came in?
I think you already had Jordan.
We already had Jordan.
Yeah,
and she, you know, mind you, Jordan was no small dog. He was 100-pound black lab. And she was a little nervous coming in and seeing this huge dog, you know, in place. But I know when they started, both Shannon, who owns dogs, and, you know, Meredith, who likes cats more, which is fine. I know they saw what Jordan did for Christina on multiple occasions where they like, oh my goodness, they could tell, you know, the improvement that happened with Jordan from 2012 all the way on. But they literally saw times where Jordan was like, no, I'm not moving. I'm staying right here because she's about to have a meltdown. And where she was more open than I think if they had come in there without Jordan in place for her. But I know Meredith was like, big dog. But he was a love. You ended up loving Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan was like a staple of our like family.
Yeah.
And you know, if you want to keep on the autism facts, autistic people and animals, you know, often do form strong connections. I know he was a service dog, but even Christina with her horses, you know, the animals' nonverbal communication and predictable behavior can be comforting for people with autism. Like it's just.
So one of the horses at where I work now, her name's Chai Chai, or Chai. I call her Chai Chai. Everybody else does. But I let her into the paddock. And it was funny because like I was just talking to her, like as I was walking her down, just having like an everyday conversation with her. And I let the lead go, and she just was like staring at me as I was walking away and neighing. And I'm like, my heart. Oh, but yeah,
but like with Jordan, he was specifically trained for you, Christina, and you know, he. Like with animals, like they know how to apply that pressure because one thing about like people on the autistic spectrum, the pressure points are key. you guys have your pressure points, and like that, it almost like refocuses you
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does.
when you like apply pressure on those pressure points. I don't know, Christina, can you like explain how it felt when Jordan?
So because I miss that dog so much. I'm
Me
trying
too.
not to cry. I miss
Oh,
him so. No, you're good. Well, I'm gonna go with Mocha right now because okay, I don't know if you've seen pictures on Facebook of me with her of her just like literally lying on my chest and putting her whole weight. Sometimes though, that dog puts like her paws like in the wrong and just stands. It hurts. But usually she just she lies on like my chest and just lies there and she snoozes sometimes. But that's one reason why I love going over to my parents is because after weeks and stuff of just everyday stresses, if I had her here, that would be a big help. But it's not possible right now. But after like weeks of just stressing out, just having her be on top of me like that and just laying and cuddling and just being able to pet her, it makes it like restore it's like it just restores my mind. And so once a month, like right now, I go over next week's my birthday actually. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying
Birthday week. Birthday week.
but I don't know how to describe it because it's like the best feeling ever.
Well, internally, I can tell you exactly. It's a dopamine release for both of you.
True.
And she probably feels like a weighted blanket.
She
that's
feels so
alive,
warm.
you know?
Oh, she
Even though
feels
weighted
so
blankets never worked for her, but
Yes.
dogs did.
Yeah.
soft. And then so I know we're not trying to talk about like dog behaviors, but this is something I found out, which is really cool. So I love when she licks me, and this dog doesn't like to lick my hands unless there's peanut butter or something good on it. So she likes to lick my face, and I love that. But to some people, that really is a, ugh. But I understand it from her point too, because actually, when a dog licks you, that is the way they bond with you. That is their bonding. So I know it benefits her because then we're bonding together. But I also just like it because I don't know, it just makes me feel closer to her and just it makes me feel loved. Bunch of kisses.
I mean, I know, Christina, that you were not thrilled with me doing behavioral therapy in the home.
No, I wasn't.
And you did not like it. Took you a while to build those relationships with both of these ladies and other ladies that came in.
Well, when I know since we're telling first impressions of everybody, my turn. Just joking. When Meredith came in and Shanna a little bit, I'm not trying to be rude, but this is how I felt back then. I felt threatened. Like I literally, when you were describing like home territory and stuff, I literally kind of felt like Mocha when she has to protect her turf, I guess that's why dogs I love, because I understand them a whole lot. But yeah, I felt threatened. I'm like, you're coming into my home telling me what to do. What is this?
That's nothing.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I don't know you. You are strange people. It's just like, it was very intimidating and just like, what do I do with you? It just, I don't know. It just was very scary. And
It is.
yeah, because like you said, we don't know each other at all. And it's like,
Right.
you're into my house. What? So I felt kind of like a dog kind of protecting its turf. In a way, and in order to do that, I need to act tough. And I guess that's what I was trying to do. Even though I probably wasn't acting tough, I was trying to act tough and say, hey, this is my house. You can only go so far. I guess it just was like, Yeah, that's how I can describe it. But when Shanna came, it was a little more relaxed than I was with Meredith. Meredith, I probably was awful to her. Because yeah,
I
she
was totally
she
confused.
usurped. It was like change in monarchy, I felt like, and I'm like, wait a minute. I do not serve you.
I'm curious, Mary. I hope you don't mind. I have questions.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I see this is not going to be the only time we do this, and I'm so glad. So go ahead.
We need like a part 300.
So I know from my personal experience where I felt a turning point in which like I finally cracked through the ice and got in. I wanted to see if it's the same experience for you. So I'll tell you my experience. And then I want to hear your opinion, Christina.
Sure.
So I think it was around, I can't really pinpoint specific details or anything, but I think it was around like after a fight that you had with your parents or something. And I was cut, it was like around the time that the session started. So I came in like right after the fireworks, I think, or nearing the end of it. You guys decided to go into your separate rooms, or at least I suggested everybody go into their separate rooms. I don't know. But I remember in your room, we were talking about it, and I was just like, wait, what do you think about this? I'm just like, I know that your behaviors weren't like the most appropriate or the best in the situation, but I was just like, what do you think about this, or what do you want from this? And I don't know, it just seemed like a light bulb moment because you reacted like nobody has ever asked you that before.
Exactly. You pointed it. That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
I kind of vaguely remember that. Nobody, even the past people before you, never asked that. And I guess to me it was like, what, me? You know, it's kind of like a shock, like, wait, you're interested in me and what I want and not what my parents want? You know?
Okay, all right. So we are vibing on this. We understand that was the turning point. And I was just like,
you treated me like I was human and not just some experiment. If I don't, maybe not experiment. But
no, say it, say it.
The right word. That could be the right word.
Say it.
You were kind of like trying to experiment with me, I guess, about what worked with me. So I felt like I was an actual human and not just some kind of weird experiment like that a scientist would take and dissect.
You hit it on the nail right there, because like that is often the error in this field of ABA. Yeah. A lot of people come into it thinking that they need to treat the clients like an experiment. I mean, in a way, we are experimenting with techniques that like which ones work for the client in this situation. But we tend to forget that the clients are human and that maybe most of the problems are communication breakdowns rather than just like, oh, we got to fix them. Well, first, we need to let them feel heard or valued.
Yeah.
And that is oftentimes what, for some people who like are very experienced in the field, or you used to a clinical environment and then come into the homes or something, or used to a fast-paced type of environment like a school, that is often what they leave out in their introduction with the clients in the home. The humanity factor of this field, which really is based off of what it is. That was the whole groundwork, like, of applied behavior analysis. Instead, a lot of people just treat it like it's like you are a dog or something, and we just need to train you. We need to train you.
Are we stupid? That's a thing. Are we stupid? And people, not sorry to interrupt you, but this is just one thing I'm going to touch on, because a lot of people treat us when they find out. This is why I hate telling people I have autism, because when you think of autism, you think, oh, she's not capable of this type of stuff, you know, and they have a certain stigma to it. So then they treat you like you're a kid or dumb. And I ain't dumb. To put it blunt, I ain't dumb.
I want to, you know, for viewer purposes, let people know when we came into Christina's life, she was already pretty much an adult. I mean, you know, you weren't a young child, and Mary, you know, it wasn't like you didn't care for what she thought, but I think, Meredith, you were speaking on, you know, past BCBAs. Did they ever stop and say, hey, how do you feel? And I think that that is what gets ABA a bad rep, because people automatically think that we try to hinder the individualism. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
And we're not.
Individuality.
We're actually trying to get that out, but how to express it appropriately. Now, I'm not saying you did this, Christina, but you know, if you went and slapped your mom across the face instead of saying I'm mad,
So violent.
you know, I know that there were some points where you would get very, very angry and express it so wrong.
Mhm.
And it was like, okay, now we have to intervene and ask you, how are you feeling? You know, why are you feeling this way? Here's an appropriate response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, for the viewers there out there that might think like, oh, did Mary never ask how she was feeling? No, Mary did all the time.
You know, understand too, and I want to preface this, is Christina was misdiagnosed. She was diagnosed at 5 years old with the onset of childhood bipolar and ADHD. So we were going on the premise for almost 6 years after that, with this was defiant behavior. This was her not wanting to behave, not wanting to listen, and just trying to figure out how to do this. You know, if we changed her routine, there was a meltdown. If we went to some place that was too overstimulating, there was a meltdown. And so she wasn't diagnosed properly until she was 11 years old. And there was somebody that came into our home. It wasn't these two ladies that literally sat down with us, watched Christina for 45 minutes, looked at me and said, you're not dealing with a bipolar child. You're dealing with a child with autism. And I about looked at her and go, you've got to be kidding me. Have you seen that Princess Diaries movie where they say, shut up? It's kind of like that moment. And I was like, you've got to, huh? You know, and so then we started down that track. And I know both Shanna and both Meredith came and said, yeah, this is a child with autism. This isn't bipolar. So a lot of things that we were doing, not that they were wrong, but it would have been a lot easier if I had been able to say, this is a change. We're dealing with autism here, and she's not dealing with this well, versus we've got a child that just doesn't want to listen. For me, the turning point became, I'm not getting hit. And I say that in the best context I possibly can, because when somebody with autism, and this is not of every autistic individual, because if you met one, you've met one. When Christina would get overwhelmed, her computer would crash. And so sometimes some meltdowns could last 15 minutes. Sometimes they could last 3 hours. And they both experienced that.
It just
you know,
my computer still crashes.
Yes. But you do not kick, you do not hit. And that's all she could express was, I'm angry, so we would be throwing something, mom would get hit, I'm trying to protect her. I'm in the mix of just going, you know, I'm just trying to keep this kid alive and trying to gather as many tools as I possibly can to help her be the best that she can. So when people would come in and they were doing things right and helping me understand and realizing this is what we need. I mean, they figured out acting and theater stuff was Christina's reward. So if she did something as she got to the point where, and I've said it before on my channel, my mom's on my channel, if you started and she did something wrong here and you're into 45 minutes later, you're not going to discipline a child for something they did 45 minutes later. You're just thankful it's over with. And now you're having to recover and work about saying, okay, now I got to rest for the next one that's going to set off. And you don't know when that's going to be. You're not going back. She doesn't remember 45 minutes later or for 45 minutes prior to that. And I remember, I don't know if it was you, but there were several people. And, you know, we didn't use cuss words in our house. There was, you know, I don't really care for them. And there was a reason also on top of that as well. But at one point they're like, you can't stop her from whatever comes out of her mouth. And I was like, you know how hard that is for me? And they go, just let it flow. You've got to let her just come out with what is ever in her mouth, because she's not hitting, which was very difficult.
I'll be right. I gotta go get a power cord. I'm dying.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
It was a replacement behavior.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
it was hard.
Replace hitting with cursing. And then eventually she got to the point where she could communicate. And, you know, sometimes behind the scenes, Mary, you don't know this, but you're going to know it now. when something would transpire, because, you know, I was with her for what, Meredith, 30 hours a week or something. You know, it was a lot. I saw a lot. I saw a lot of
and before you, I was 30 hours a week with her.
Yeah, you saw it. And I would take her into her room and give her a pillow and say whatever you need to say inside the pillow, and it stays inside the pillow. That way your mom doesn't hear it. You know, and I know the reasons. And I'm sorry, you know, but I was like, I've got to find a replacement for her cursing at you. So if we can get this in her room to where she would have to go in her room, get a pillow, you know, and then curse in the pillow, maybe we could eliminate that altogether.
I do have to add one more thing before that, because even before that, what really curbed the cursing in front of you, Mary, was that behavior contract. Yeah. We did not stop her. We did not stop her from cursing, but we reminded her what her cursing resulted in with the behavior contract. Yep. It resulted in her not earning stuff that she desperately wanted to earn throughout the week.
I remember. I forgot about the behavior contract.
Oh, I hate it.
That was a huge thing to curb her behavior.
She was held accountable and she knew it. You know what I mean? So that also added the replacement. You know, it's like, okay, now I got to stop and think, is this one curse word or 5 worth losing movie time? And that's actually what, you know, her reward was with me. We would watch movies or play games or something like that, or act out scenes.
Yeah,
you know.
But that was in the contract.
That was a little side note for people to understand. For me, and it's why on our channel it doesn't ever happen. First of all, I don't care for it, and that's just me, and everybody can have their opinion. But I also went through a marriage, and these two ladies know this, and so does Christina, that whenever I was getting abused, the curse words went flying. And so for me, it can sometimes be a trigger warning. And so it was hard. I was just thankful she wasn't hitting. These two ladies have seen bruises on me and so forth. And, you know, I mean, you know, when she was in her moment, it was just there. And, you know, I was just like, there were times where I thought, I talked to them privately, and I thought, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm going to have to send her someplace. I don't think I can. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't think I can do this. And I really think, honestly, that if these two ladies, among other people that came on and hadn't been in the home, it's exactly what would have happened. Because I'd have been pulling my hair out thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's not because I'm a bad parent. These two ladies will tell you, and my daughter will, hopefully, that I fought for this kid like a mama bear every step of the way. I raised money for that dog because she needed it. I went to the schools and fought for her. I was fighting every which way to get her as many services and things that were going to help her. They knew that she had, Christina knows she had a mama bear, and these ladies saw it. And I remember them coming in and even thanking Josh, because they said, usually stepfathers, in whatever circumstance, and the circumstance that happened with Josh is her biological father was not in play at all. So he was able to come in and be a dad in full, and now he's officially a dad. And so, yes. And they said, you know what? We have to tell you, we wish a lot of the stepfathers would be as active in making this all, happen and come together and be in tune with the behavioral plan and all of that came in. And they lifted him up too.
Yeah.
Because they said, we can't
Fathers.
tell you the amount of homes we go in, and the stepfathers are like, well, not
The
my kid.
Fathers in general.
fathers and the mothers.
Yeah.
I've seen both parents disconnect from
Yeah,
their
I see
kids
mothers
at the same
too.
time. You guys were great parents.
Very
And
involved.
I do have one funny story that, as you're telling this, I didn't mean to smile at you, but I remember one time our services got disconnected because of Medicaid, and that's another video that we could, harp on how hard it is to get ABA services and keep them. And people are on waiting lists, and if you're watching and you have an autistic individual in your home and you have the opportunity, take it, because there are so many kids needing services that are on wait lists, hundreds and hundreds of kids. Yeah. But I remember, or individuals, I'm not even going to say
months or years at a time.
Yeah, years. So I remember being really nervous, and Meredith, you had texted me discontinue services, and I was actually at the home, and I said, oh no, Christina, I've got to go because legally I cannot be here working. And she's like, and then Mary was in the living room, and Mary had found out too. And Christina goes, you haven't been around long enough to know my mom. She'll get this taken care of. I was like, okay, and it was like 2 days. But before I left the house, Mary, you were on the phone with who you needed to be on the phone with. And you're like, don't worry. Because Christina was one of my first cases. I had never experienced that. And as an RBT, if you don't have the hours, you don't work. There's nothing I can't go to, Joe's house now because there's no Joe. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember, Mary, you saying, give me a couple days, you'll be back. And I was like, all right. Oh, yeah. And so you did fight for her. You fought for every service that you could get in South Florida, which is overloaded with children with autism, and it continues to grow. And the waiting list that I see on my company site, I wish I could duplicate 100 of me to go. So if you're listening and you have that opportunity, take the opportunity. See if it changes your life. It isn't for everybody, but you've got it, and it's important.
Likewise. Also, if you not only if you have a kid who's on the autistic spectrum, but if you are interested in the field as well, please, if you have in your heart, please move on it, because we are so understaffed in this field. There's a reason why those lists are taking months and years at a time to get services for. We are stretched thin. The environment is not the best for our field right now. So for anybody who has the heart to do so, I suggest definitely try it out. See what you're made of. You will definitely know what you stand on and what you're made of if you're in this field.
And how you can connect with people, and not to get into pay or anything, but now as an RBT, you get paid pretty well. It's well above minimum wage, but you have to be a type of person, but
Yeah,
if you feel like you could connect with people with autism and improve their life, try it. Like you said, Meredith, that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I was in nursing school and I was like, I can't do this. What am I going to do? And I was like at a crossroads. And my sister-in-law was a BCBA, and I saw how she interacted because I had met her at the park because I have a dog. And she's like, I would really like to do dog therapy. Could you bring your dog? So I was like, okay. And I really, I saw her working with the client that she was with, and saw the connection and saw the difference. I mean, in that 2 hours, the difference that she made, I was like, okay, this is for me, because I did want to be in a field where I made a difference, but nursing just wasn't it for me. And I was like, where do I apply? And here I am. And actually I took over that client, and unfortunately, I was with him for about seven years. Unfortunately, Medicaid got in the way and I lost him, and it is really hard because you connect with the family, and
yes.
you kind of are an extended family. But anyways, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I don't know if you hear that rumbling. Somebody's taking up the trash can.
Oh. But yeah, Mary, do you have a list of, I think going, if we decide to do this, you get a good response, people have questions, I think it would be
absolutely
nice.
We got 14 people watching, and the reason I wanted to do this and start this conversation and this dialogue happening, and I can't thank these ladies enough, is because we hear about behavioral therapy in a building, but there is not a lot showing it in the home. And I think they both could probably say there's a huge difference in both the success rate and the child's performance in an actual building versus in the home. And I think coming from behavioral therapy, they rather go in the home and see the child in their natural environment versus trying to see them in a building, because they're not going to act like they normally would.
Absolutely not. And ABA actually is a natural science.
Yeah,
so it makes sense to put them in their natural environment. You can see way more behaviors. And you can connect with the parents too and find out, what do you want out of me? Because technically, Mary, you paid for me. I worked for you, so you were the person that I went to. Well, Meredith was. Now I go to the families and say, okay, what do you want your child to look like in a month? And then we do 3 months, and then 6 months, because the expectations a lot of parents have, and that's a whole other conversation. You expect, a lot of parents that I've dealt with expect, okay, you've been with my child for a week, she's still hitting, what's going on? It's like, I'm still in pairing mode, which people that are watching, pairing mode is something that my company gives me like a week to do. I personally like to take like a month or so. So I'm going to use Christina as an example. I came into her house and I placed 0 demands on her. I let her lead. I let her show me what her preferred activities were. I engaged with her. I let her get to know me. It's a friendship. She had to trust me before I started putting demands on her. So
also, I keep on telling parents, I was just like, it took years to develop these behaviors. Do you think that it's going to take a week to make them go away?
Yeah, they say it takes so much. And Mimi says this perfectly, but they say it takes so many days to make something a habit. I forget what it was, but I think
it's 21.
days. Yeah, something
I
like
thought it
that.
was 21, but
I thought it was like 1,000 hours.
I don't know, but yeah, no. She says it takes so many days to get something into a habit.
Did we have a
And then once you
comment
get
there,
into
Mary?
a habit,
Yeah. It says
I think it takes longer to get out of said habit than it does to get into a habit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm
It does.
gonna agree with Mac. I think I'm saying it right.
Yeah, I
You
just
do
call him
embrace
Matt.
the child, you are
That's
not
what
the
we
one
do.
you prefer to have. Exactly. And again, that's why ABA gets such a bad rep, because people think that we're changing them when we're not.
No.
At all. We embrace like stemming, for example. Well, I never got in the way of Christina's stemming when she would, like vocal or whatever.
Wait, let's break that down. Stimming. Stimming is repetitive behaviors that are not disruptive to the environment, but are just for sensory purposes for the person with autism.
Right. And that's where I was going to. Now, if stemming out in a Publix, for example, was flapping your arms and there's a million people around you, yeah, we're going to say, all right, let's remove ourselves, or, quiet hands until we get out of the store, and then by all means stem away. Actually, I have a shirt that says, just let me stem, bro. Like, so
What was my
Well,
step then? I'm curious because
I think your stem, it wasn't like repetitive behaviors, those repetitive like statements. I think repetitive
you were
statements.
vocal. You were vocal.
Yeah, you were more vocal stimming. You repeated a lot of quotes from movies for responses to things that you did not want to respond to functionally.
well, and
they
it
were good.
stopped after Jordan, but now that I think your breathing was probably a stemming. They
Yeah,
weren't around when they
yeah.
did that, but she used to sit there go,
Oh,
I like breathe.
That's an
She'd hold
example.
her breath, and then when
Mhm.
Jordan came around, she stopped that.
Even
yeah.
humming. I have behavior therapy in high school.
This
To
is
accept me
Alfonso.
to a new school, I had aggressive behavior. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a journey for everybody. Everybody
It
has
is.
their own time to adjust to their environment, their new environment. I hope that you had like enough support, like from your
Mhm.
family or at least from people nearby you to
Yeah.
help
I was going
acclimate
to
to that.
touch a little bit so not saying that us who have autism are like, so when I was picking out fosters to rescue from the shelter, the one thing that they did before I took any of them home was I got to meet them and I got to see how they were. For example, Hunter, you remember, Mom, what happened with him.
Yeah.
Many dogs came in and they sniffed, did whatever, and then Hunter came in and he literally sat on my lap, and I think they even took a picture and then got up and walked around, but he sat on my lap. And then they brought in a couple other dogs, and usually by the end of the time I knew what dog I wanted. Hunter I was like, yep, that's him. But I got time to get to know the dogs a little bit before they even came into my home. And I feel like that's something that's kind of like what you guys kind of, I guess that's a process that you guys kind of go through when meeting said person, and talking about just the fact that some of the dogs, Mocha, oh my gosh, for example, when I took her home the first night, she was everywhere. I literally had to put her into my bedroom and keep her there because it was a small space for her to just go nuts and bonkers. Buddy, he just slept, but
He
like
was tired.
it took a while for them to get comfortable and to sleep through the whole night. So
Mary,
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw a question pop up.
Yeah. Does your work
about
change when
siblings.
there are siblings in the home?
I have a response to this. 100%.
Yes, so do I.
It does. I- I'll tell my experience, and Meredith.
Yeah. Go ahead.
100%. I had two brothers. One was on the spectrum, one was not, and the one that wasn't was younger, and he wanted to be involved in everything that we did, and I let him most of the time because that's how they, I encouraged the bonding between the two. You could work on many behaviors with the sibling, communication skills, taking turns when playing games, just, and with the other sibling too, accepting the behaviors of the sibling with the autism. So yes, it does change. I try to, whenever the sibling is around, try to incorporate and include the sibling when they want to be, because a lot of the times they do feel left out. I've seen a lot of families prioritize the child with autism and kind of, not that they're purposely doing it, but they don't really pay as much attention. So a lot of problem behaviors with the sibling that doesn't have autism come out because of that. So I try to include everyone. So go ahead, Meredith. That was mine.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I have the reverse of situation in which, like, I have a client right now who's on the autism spectrum, and he has two older siblings. And oftentimes he feels, and this is the client saying it, he feels kind of not up to par with them, especially with his older brother. He feels like he is very much inferior and such. They also come from a very strict traditional household for their culture. So it took a while to break the stigma of, like, oh, problem child, oh, must just stick him in the back, all that. Or just like he's just not normal, and actually telling the child to his face. And I'm just like, okay, we're going to need to work on trigger words. We're going to need to work on sensitivity on this matter.
Yeah.
We're also going to work on getting to know the client's opinions about things, and also what makes them tick. How do they feel when you say this? That's one thing that I have to train the siblings on. I was just like, I know you're used to, like, he's your younger brother. He is the butt of every joke. He doesn't get your inside jokes, the older siblings. But we are trying to reframe the dynamic in the family in which, like, he is not viewed as the problem child anymore. And he is viewed as a child that needs a different type of communication to reach them. Now, if you want less fights with your brothers, with your brother, your younger brother, I think that you should avoid these trigger words. Why don't you try to play more games with him? We're going to fit gameplay with the siblings into the sessions at home. We are going to fit it, like the older sibling actually teaching or trying to run a program, and then train that sibling how to communicate with my client so that there's not as many altercations that arise from it. It is very much just like Mary when I was trying to teach you guys things that when you try to reason with Christina what sets her off. I was doing that with the siblings too. Now, of course, with the siblings, especially if they're close in age or still under a certain age, it takes a while for them to break their habits or find the motivation to want to break their habits, because they're like, no, that's my parents' problem. I could just ignore him, or he's used to getting all the attention.
Well,
But Yeah, it helps to include them in the session.
Christina took a lot of attention, and she did not have a sibling. I know that it was difficult for Christina whenever even Meredith or Shannon tried to get her involved in other groups of people that had autism. She was like, I don't want to do that. And it was not because she didn't necessarily want to. She didn't want to. She wanted everybody to treat her as Christina, not somebody with autism spectrum. She wanted people to see
Yes.
Christina first. And it was like, but it was funny when she went to her school that she went to, she surrounded herself by those who had autism and thought as she is. And so,
Well,
and does
you
the things, but she did
said
not want to be in an environment where there was other children on the spectrum. And it was like, no, I don't want to do that. And she just wanted to be treated like normal.
to me, like, especially in schools and stuff, I got treated so differently. All I just wanted to be was normal, whatever that is.
Neurotypical.
Yeah,
Neurotypical.
because there's no such thing as normal. I just want to be normal, and I wanted to be with those people that were, because for me, growing up, I never showed any signs that, oh hey, I have autism. It was always masking, and girls can do that a whole lot better. That's why we're always diagnosed a lot later.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. So no, so it was like my not that to say that everybody else on the spectrum is a lot lower, but like I don't know how to describe it.
I
Be with the people that I guess had my intellectual level, because I was higher than stereotypical.
Well, not stereotypical, but that's actually quite common because, like, I've worked in the school district over the pandemic, and also I've had clients in which, like, I had to go into the schools and they were higher functioning, and either they were integrated into a neurotypical classroom or they were in an ESC classroom. But it's like how they group, like, I guess the population in general, there's not enough. If you're higher functioning, it is a harder piece of the puzzle to fit into their paradigm.
Lions Creek Middle, because I was originally going to go into a special class, but then when they saw me, they put me in a regular with everybody.
Yeah,
Fit
oftentimes when that
middle.
happens, do you still feel like you could not keep up with the class? Because honestly, that's how they do it.
Yeah, like I felt with that school when they did that, like to some degree, I was kind of grateful in a way because I was normal. I didn't have any special treatment,
You
but
didn't have a label.
I don't understand half of this stuff, and the teachers were just mean. That school was horrible. But when I went into Center Academy, I had the kids there. They were on the same level as me to a lot of degrees, and it was like the perfect school for people like me who weren't too, I guess, low. I don't sound mean, but like
No, it's not. It's a thing in schools, and especially in public
Yeah.
schools, Christina, that
Yeah.
we're fighting for,
Yeah.
because there isn't a middle ground. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
there is not.
Yeah.
There's
So
not.
like
I understand where you're coming from, because you
Yeah.
didn't want to be with people that were, I guess, I don't even like saying lower on the spectrum.
yeah,
But you wanted to be in the neurotypical classroom, but it was
but
a little above where you were.
yeah,
Right.
I needed a lot more help
Yes.
than neurotypical, but I
But
didn't.
the other option was
Is-
going to a class that
Yeah.
had,
That would have
No
been
more.
so lower and not lower, but well, I guess yes, but like where I was in the perfect middle, at Central Academy, I got the help I needed. I got the teacher I needed, and I got the environment I needed, but they encouraged me to do stuff on my own. And they treated me like normal, but it was just a school. They gave me a lot more help and not having homework, because by the end of the day, I could tell you, like, by the end of the day, so right now working at Acme as a cashier, by maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, my brain is just fried. I'm starting to lose focus by then.
But she's a cashier, which just blows my mind.
I'm so sorry. But so by that time, my brain, everything is starting to wear off. So I'm starting to my focus is starting to drain. I'm really morning. I still can do my job, but my focus isn't where it needs to be as the day goes on. So by the time I finished school, getting homework. Now, sometimes I had to do homework just because I didn't finish something in class or whatever, but I didn't get assigned homework at the end of the day.
That was beautiful.
And
that was wonderful.
And honestly, I think kids are getting too much home. Even if you're not on the spectrum, kids are getting way too much homework.
Yeah.
I don't.
They toned down just a bit.
I don't know if you two ladies were there. I don't know if Shannon was there, but I know that in 2013, my dad was diagnosed with dementia. 2012, 2013, and they watched my dad decline the time that we were there, and that was really hard. They saw Christina really struggling and those changes happening, and that's why school, when she went to her middle school, was so hard, because every hour they were changing classes, and that's something that autistic people struggle with on a really big level. So, in the home, we also had my dad, who one day could do something and the next day he couldn't. And so those changes were happening on a pretty regular basis. And she didn't know how to deal with that. My parents, were you there when my parents moved from the one house to the other next door to us?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so they went through that change. They went through when my grandmother moved in. They went through when my uncle died. These were major changes. I think Meredith was there for some of
Yeah,
that.
I was there when you guys moved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I was there.
I had met Nana. Is that
Yes.
what we call it?
Yeah.
I had met Nana.
No.
The first thing she said to me is, "Where are your shoes?" I was wearing flip-flops.
Yeah, I mean, these were major changes that were going on, and I think Meredith was there for most of them, but I don't think you were there for all of them. These were major changes that Christina was going through. And, this was really, really hard. When you watch somebody decline with dementia, that's really hard on a whole level of itself, let alone an autistic child that's watching this whole thing go in front of them. And it's just like, I remember crying at times with these ladies going, please, Lord, let him forget my name first, not my daughter's, because she's not going to understand this. And he did. I was one of the first people he forgot, but that was so difficult. And I remember going to them at the time when she was about ready to drive, going, do you think that she's ready for driving? And they go, absolutely not. They said, and I said, okay. And I said, I'm going to seek your wisdom, because I was like, I have no idea if she's ready for that. Now, when they come into the home, they evaluate the child, and eventually what they're going to do is start with what is called a behavior plan. We went through those things. They're coming up with goals, and it's not, this is a behavior plan in front of you, and this is going to stick for about a year. Usually that does change. The behavior plan is reevaluated. New things are added, things are taken away. And it's a contract that you sign with them and with your child, if they're old enough, to say, these are the goals that we're working on. I was just like, can we get to the point where I'm not getting hit anymore? When she's having a meltdown, I'm getting hit, and bruises are getting on, getting bruised up because I'm just trying to keep her safe. And how do we prevent that in a whole? And I'm thankful she was verbal, but she's so much verbal now in a way that I don't think she was. Even though she was verbal, she still had trouble expressing herself, especially when her computer was going phew, when it was crashing. It was like there was nothing. And they had to work to help her come out of what, and I loved how Meredith used to describe this as she's in her own world, Mary. She's in a world that's own world, and you're in your world, and we got to get her to come over here.
Yeah.
And another thing that had to happen was they had to really work to help her be empathetic when things were happening, because autistic individuals don't read facial expressions. So if she hit me and I was going ouch and making facial expressions, she was just like, okay. There was not too much empathy, because that has to be trained into them to show that. So we had to work on, well, when you hit mom and it hurts, there's a facial expression that she may not see, that we have to get her to realize that there's pain behind that, because it's not something that they're trained to do.
Yeah.
You have that instinctively.
One of the things like I still have trouble with today is looking people in the eye. I'm a lot better, but it's still pretty hard for me for whatever reason. Now for Mocha, I can look her in the eye. That's the thing. But people I just have such a hard time with.
Well,
and that's probably one of the reasons I didn't see facial expressions, because I just looking.
Well, yeah, and this is one of the goals that I'm like really flexible on, because like when it's like attending to when somebody's talking to you, I'm just like telling parents and my RBTs, I was just like, just at least have their face be turned towards you. They don't need to look in your eye. But they at least need the face toward they need to be in front of you. They need to orient their whole body and face towards you, but it's okay if they don't look at you in the eyes.
I agree with you, Meredith. I've never practiced that, even though that's like an ABA staple is eye contact.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't hold eye contact a lot.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. So I don't implement that, but I will implement them understanding and responding. So yes, you will pay attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You will have the body language saying, okay, I understand, I'm listening, but do I need eye contact? Absolutely not. And
you all had to work with Christina when it came to empathy and being, having that, you've hurt me either physically or, emotionally. You all had to work with her to go, there's no sorry, and have that empathy come out. And that had to be a work in progress.
And
it was a big one. I remember.
It was one of the first things that I need to work on in order to get towards empathy was just like trying to train you guys that you need to give her consequences for her actions. The reason why she doesn't think about her actions and how they affect other people is because she's never been she never felt the consequences of her actions. And that didn't mean restricting a lot of the things that you got freely for, that were rewarding for you. So that's what we call like a conditional, response. Like you condition the response based off of the consequence of the behaviors. So a behavior happens and then, this is the consequence. The most that was provided before I arrived was that, okay, whatever behavior she got to escape what she thought was aversive. But, that's a reward for her. And she still got all the things that she liked and preferred, like non-conditionally, you
Well,
know.
we were in
they-
survival mode. I think most
Yeah,
autistic
yeah,
parents
you
are.
were in survival
Yeah.
mode. You're just like, oh, at least I didn't get hit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, survive, just survive.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said before, if you're going through an hour meltdown, by the time you're done, you're like, it's over with.
Yeah.
You know, you have no
Yeah.
back up to be able to do that. And by having behavioral therapy come in the home and help us model that, you know, and help Christina with that, what happened with a lot of those, and Jordan was a huge help, is those things just kind of done that. So we maybe have a 5 or 10 minute meltdown that now we can put in behaviors, because we're not going for an hour and I'm going, I'm so tired, I don't even remember what she did an hour ago. I just pray to
Yeah.
God nobody got hurt. And that's
Yeah.
where we were. And that's where I think a lot of parents are. They're in the survival mode, get them through. And that's not the end goal that should be there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
It requires all.
I know that maybe people are thinking, I don't want to bring people in my home and I don't want to show them. And maybe I have the house looks lived in and whatever. They're not coming in there to see it. My house was never perfectly cleaned. It was never immaculate. It was lived in. They knew I was at the time a working mother. My husband was disabled. I was trying to take care of an autistic child. I was helping my parents at one point with a dad with dementia. The housework, my house wasn't perfect, but they're not coming in there. It wasn't a mess, but it wasn't perfect. But they still came in there to help. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, they're just trying to help reduce the behaviors that are really impacting your lives.
It is invasive. I think a lot of people are hesitant because they do feel judged. But you know, I think I could speak for Meredith when I say that we don't judge you at all. I don't have any kids that are on this. I don't have any kids. So it's hard for me to say I understand where you're coming from, because I don't. Meredith, you spoke, you have, you know, a brother who is autistic, so you have a little bit more of a connection. But you know, when I come into the home, I'm not looking at, Mary, you're doing this, this, and this wrong. No, that's, you know what I mean? Or even looking at the state of your house, that's not what I'm there for. I don't judge, you know, it's like nursing, you know, you go and serve what needs to be served, you help, and that's it. You don't judge or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
You know, and it's a teaching moment for everyone, including myself, because I learned what worked and what didn't. You know, and I think some of the hardest things in ABA therapy is the parent training, because you don't want to make them feel like they're failing or doing something wrong, because a lot of parents will shut down and say, okay, then it's all my fault. And it's like, no, but you don't realize, like, I have a client and, you know, we were observing a behavior and I said, Mom, stop giving into this. You're the reward. This is why the client is acting like this, because he's getting a response from you. Just stop giving him a response. And it was like a light bulb went off in her head. And she's like, I've never thought about it that way. So we kind of come in and observe, like, okay, this, you know, and like you said, Mary, a lot of parents are in survival mode. So they're like, here's the iPad, you know, see you later. I need a break. I need a mental break.
Pretty much.
And it's
oftentimes, oftentimes I feel like I'm Mary Poppins. I come in and I just like,
like, what's that show, The Nanny or something?
Yeah.
You know, it is kind of like that, but like less aggressive.
Christina,
You know?
what did you want to say?
I was just going to make 2 points. One on the eye contact thing, because I think when like society in general, it's just a polite thing to do when you're talking to someone is eye contact. And if you don't, that's perceived as rude, especially a lot of older people will perceive that as rude and not realize that, hey, this
depends
person's
on the culture.
It's the culture, yeah, and it's just society in general. That's what you do. And what I try to do, just for people that are on the spectrum and that struggle with this, is I say, okay, I'm going to look at this person kind of in the eyes, maybe not like in their eye contact for like 1 or 2 seconds. And then I look somewhere else. But then I go back and I make myself do it for maybe 1 or 2 seconds so that they don't say, especially strangers, so they don't think I'm rude. But then I divert my eyes, but I keep the body language the same so they know I'm listening, but then divert my eyes after like 1 or 2, maybe 3 seconds. To at least make it look like I'm not being rude. And then the whole like consequence thing, it was very hard. I remember when you did. However,
Oh, you had me.
I am finding out now. So I saw at
Tell
the store
them.
today
Tell them.
a Halloween coloring book, and I'm like, you know what? Instead of being on my phone, maybe this will be nice to color. Just get in the Halloween spirit, whatever. Like, oh, these are nice little. For me, coloring pages, I need them simple, because I just like simple coloring stuff. It's like, oh, this looks good. I'll just get it, and you know what? Spend some time not on my phone. And the way I kind of did it today, I'm like, you know what? I have to get this, and this done, and then I can go do what I really want to do. And I feel like that's your training. As your training away, I tell you what, that got me motivated to do like the dishes, get the whole kitchen. I don't have any dishes now. I'm happy.
It's the first then.
Wow.
And laundry.
Yep.
Getting that all done, and I'm like, okay, I can go back and do this for a few minutes. And
Yep. The old first
I
and
mean,
then.
now that you look back at it, Christina, can you look back at it with a little bit of gratitude that I did what I did? Because you are, I can tell you, and I have with both of these ladies, is I have literally been in tears sometimes because I thought she's never going to wind up getting married. She's never going to be able to be out on her own and be there. And I think where you are now in your life has these two ladies, amongst other people that came in the home, are to be credited, because you are where you are because that was there, even though at times you disliked it and you didn't like me for doing it. But I'm so glad I did.
I can give credit to Jordan, because
Yes.
he's really helped me sleep on my own. Yeah, he's the one that helped me get to the next step of, hey, I can do this. It's not that scary. And now, because I live in a big old house now, I'm kind of thankful though. Got a very terrible situation, but it's still a huge house. And so what I do at night, I hate the dark. That's like one thing I hate to do. So, and I don't have a dog right now, which I wish I did, because then I feel a little better than we walk to attack somebody. I'm all alone here, and my husband nights. It's really hard. But what I do is I just put that little lantern that gave me that one time. I put it put it on the door, and that illuminates the door. So I do that, and then I put on like at night or something to listen to, and it helps me fall asleep. But without gotten to that point, I can thank you guys for implementing the schedules stuff, because out of that, which I have to admit beforehand, I have a towards schedule I need to edit, but I have a towards to keep me on track. So
they also helped you write checks. They also helped you with money.
And I was going to also credit 2 other people, and then my grandma I can credit, because we used to play Monopoly. I used to love Horseopoly.
Sorry. Inside joke.
But I always loved to be the bank. But when I did the bank, she would have me count out the money.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught me different things about how to make this bill work with this bill. And Monopoly was fun, but it taught me, and I'm using a lot of the stuff it taught me as a career today, and money, and I'm doing that daily, multiple times a day, and today, but and like every money, but then also my mom for just for me, even though she was frustrating at times, she never gave up.
She had her boxing gloves on the entire time.
Yeah,
I had
she's
to.
always ready.
Yeah.
She was ready.
But he never speaking of an autistic kid. He never and we still butts to each other, but
Yeah, they may not be blood related, but boy, they're
we are
almost alike.
we know.
But I think that there's a lot that you can as far as dealing with your emotions, and when and not exploding in anger in the sense of hitting. That all calmed down, redirected. I got a lot of tools, and like I said before, these two ladies were there so that, and others that were in place too, where you were able to stay within the home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that had been possible if we hadn't. And I don't know if people realize you can get behavioral therapy in the home. People think all these services are in counseling in buildings. You can get them in the home. You've got to ask for it, because it can be literally life-changing for the kid that's there. And
Yes.
the earlier, the better.
Well, and I was just about to say that summer that I was having a lot of mental issues after Jared. Oh my gosh, there's too many. Shortly after George passed away, and you found me with a bottle of pills. I remember you calling Meredith, maybe Shanna. So I know definitely.
I think it was me. I don't know.
I called you because that was during the C. We don't want to say that on here. That was during the C, and I didn't know what to do. And she was able to talk to Christina and say, I don't think that this is level of taking her there. But
yeah, got you out take you to mental hospital.
Well,
I was
yes.
really,
but she also said very clearly, she said, if it happens again, you need to call. And we sat down with you, but they were there even after we moved, which was so helpful. I recently put it this way. My brother speaks autism because my dad and I were very similar and adjusted enough that autism wasn't actively recognized, and we figured out each other out.
That's common.
Yeah.
It's common. There are, I'm going to say, hundreds of thousands of people that aren't diagnosed that should be.
Yeah.
So, I
have a question, Meredith.
Me?
Yeah.
Look at her face.
What? No, I'm just curious. Like when you first saw me in my wedding dress after, like you first saw me in the wedding dress. You were my maid of honor at the wedding. What were your thoughts?
Oh, you saw the picture. Oh my gosh. Wait, when I first saw you in the wedding dress?
Yeah, like when you first saw me in like the wedding dress, and were you like, wow, this is real, she's getting married, I can't believe this. It's like your child married.
Oh my gosh. What if my child's getting what was I thinking?
I don't know in general what you thought, like were like thinking, boy, like I can't believe this happening.
I guess on some level I was thinking that, but honestly, I was just thinking,
good luck.
How?
I'm just
Wait, what?
Good luck, Jared.
No, I was curious about Jared. I was oh well, me and your mom were talking quite a bit about like throughout the whole wedding progression about just like the progress that you've made, how much of a fit Jared was to you.
But I don't know if you thought
what?
I don't know if you ever married.
What?
I don't know if you ever thought, well, just like during when you were my actual therapist, like were you thinking at all like, oh, I don't think she's ever going to get married?
I don't know. I tried not to think about it. I was actually really involved in role playing. I was because it's weird, people, but we role played as husband and wife. I was always the husband. Oh my gosh. The deep voice, I swear. The deep voice stereotyping of it all. I was always the guy in the role. I was always the guy in the role play, Christina. Why?
You know what? I will say that I think that, it sounds funny, like, to the viewers that are watching, like, you guys role played husband and wife, in a very, not, a very PG setting. Let me just say, because a lot of people,
we were the cleavers.
So, I think that role playing is a huge part of what I do all the time. And I think that was one of the best things, Meredith, you could have done, because one, expectation. When you do get married, a lot of things change, and people on the spectrum don't do well with that. So, Christina, I, unfortunately had a wedding while your wedding was going on. I was
planning to be here, and she's
I was
okay.
Yep. I still have all my stuff. I was a matron of honor in somebody else's wedding, so I wasn't able to be there, but I never doubted for a second that you wouldn't be where you are. However, I didn't think it would happen as fast as it did.
I was thinking, wow, this is happening quickly. Like, she's adjusting like crazy, and I, throughout the wedding process, I was just like, remember the role play, girl. Remember the role play.
If acting hadn't been something Christina would have liked, it's necessary that was a reward for her, it probably wouldn't have happened. But if we think about this in the sense of by role playing, she is getting to have that experience played out in a way. And it wasn't just that. You guys role played other circumstances and other situations. And I think Ash and I had to role play how Christina was acting and stuff, because then it allows the child to see, or the person in Christina, to see it from the perspective of the other person.
Yes.
I use role playing a lot, even if they don't like it.
Getting them out of their world into somebody else's, which again is very difficult. Autistic individuals are in their own world.
Yeah. And you just live in it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's their world and we just live in it.
Yeah. It's so true.
Oh, remember, this is the funny memory I have of this role playing something, and I kind of close on the door, and the door wouldn't open. It was you and me, and the door wouldn't open. I started laughing controllably, and you just banking on the door, like, get us out! And we're gonna have to call the fire department because I get the door open, and all Dad did was nudge the door, but I was dying laughing.
Oh my God. I remember, and this is a touching thing, it involved your grandpa.
Oh,
and I remember one time when we were role playing, and it was so touching. But oh my gosh, Mr. Chuck, he thought that I was really trying to be mad and attack you, and he just got up. He was squared up. He was ready. He was just like, "Do I need to fight?" And I was just like, "No, Mr. Chuck, it's me. It's me."
And understand he has dementia, so he's seeing the world from a very different perspective.
And I was just I was trying not to laugh uncontrollably. I'd laugh and awe, because I was just like, "Oh, Mr. Chuck." I was just like, that's so.
And I wanted to take a moment. The gentleman that I'm putting up here, he is legally blind. He's a friend of the channel, and he is somebody that I go onto his channel, and he had a situation where he's a grown adult now, but he was in New Mexico, and then he had to go very abruptly to Colorado, which at this point, due to circumstances, he's not able to leave. And so he's had a really difficult time adjusting to a new environment and all of the circumstances and all the situations that are going on there. So, Alfonso, I don't want you to think you're not being heard. I hear you. I know I'm praying for you, my friend. I know this is hard. And I know that it can be overwhelming, and I know you want to go back to where it's comfortable. But like I keep reminding you, God has you where you're supposed to be right now. And you have to be willing to not just say I can't change my circumstances, but you have to accept where he has you, which is really, really hard.
Well, let me just point something real quick about God and just what I've learned personally as a Christian, that if God wants you somewhere and in a situation where you're going to be used for his glory, it may not be the most comfortable situation. Half of the time it's probably not. Like Acme wasn't, just when I went in there wasn't my, like I was literally went in there my first day. Oh, you're going to be a cashier. I was scared out of my mind. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm not good with money, yada, yada, yada. But I learned practically everything the first day. Second day, I was really by myself. And now I got the hang of it. And I'm honestly, I have a prayer book that I write. Like, if a customer is like coming and they have something that they need prayed for, I will write them down in my prayer book. And I'm using me being a cashier to lift up others and to be a light unto them. So it wasn't comfortable at first, and there's sometimes it isn't comfortable, but it's where God has placed me. So,
Yeah.
And I will put Shannon's link because she has a TikTok. And Christina, if you go on her channel, and I will be more than glad if Shannon wants me to come on her TikTok channel, even though I'm not somebody that's on TikTok or everything, I will sign up for TikTok if you will go on there and be, because I keep encouraging you, and you are doing it one little bit by little bit.
I said anytime she wants to go live, we can.
See?
Well, the problem is I'm banned from live. We don't know why.
That's terrible.
Yeah, TikTok is very fickle when it comes to what you say about, individuals with autism. There could have been, people on there that reported something that I said that they didn't agree with, and TikTok will ban you like that. Yeah. So I'm trying to get it reinstated. But that doesn't mean we can't do recorded videos like this and I can upload them. I mean, yeah, they're going to have to be in like 10-minute increments. But I think, Christina,
you can edit them into that.
Yeah, you could help a lot of people, especially women of your age or, back then with one of the biggest things that I want to harp on with you is the label and how disconnected you were from wanting to be labeled. I think that happens to almost everybody with autism at your level. Like, I don't want to be labeled as, I don't want to be put in this group with, individuals who, are lower. I don't want to say lower, but
we get stereotyped. I think that's right. Every people get, and we just want to be treated like, even people not on my level, just be treated like a person. And that's a lot of people don't get that from, especially that can be cruel. I've got that change. Comments.
You're cutting out, Christina.
Oh,
you're cutting
out. Really bad. I will say, I need to wrap it up soon, but I will say that I understand where you're coming from to a point, because but taking classes and learning about people with autism, I believe we're all a little autistic in our own way. Like, everybody likes certain things, certain ways and stuff. But I I've always encouraged you to embrace it, because it is a part of you. Like you said, like you were just saying, God has you where he wants you. And, maybe you need to recite that in the mirror. Like,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't think that God necessarily wanted you to struggle, but he gave, you
He gave
a
me a gift.
diagnosis because you can handle that. You could maybe teach people, that struggle with what you struggled with or still struggle with, because it wasn't that long ago that I did reach out to you and say, hey, let's collaborate. And you're like, you know what? I don't want to do anything with my autism right now. And I was like, okay, we're still there. That's fine. I'm not going to push it. You're a grown woman. You can do what you want. You make your own choices. But embrace it, because there's nothing negative about you. And I remember you comparing yourself to a lot of people. And I remember sitting with you in your living room and you were like, so and so can drive, but I can't. And I said, okay, well, that is one comparison if you want to compare it, but let's not focus on what other people can do, because there's people that are doctors. I don't think I could ever be a doctor. There's millionaire. I'm never going to be a millionaire. If I sat here and compared myself to everybody, I would go insane, So I think that you did struggle with that a little bit.
But you got to focus on what you can do. I mean,
Right. In your own world of
yeah,
capabilities, and
you're
embrace it.
you're a beautiful writer. I can't write. I mean, like, I don't like to write. You actually like to write. Own
Yeah.
that. Because I'm in the field in which I have to write a lot, and I
And let me
can't
tell you
write.
something, books are blowing up now.
Yes,
So, get back into that. You have a
yes.
wild imagination. I remember reading your pirate stories.
Ah, the
Yeah,
pirate
Yeah,
book.
you're
yeah,
amazing. You're
I
an amazing girl, and I'm very proud of you, and you know that.
yes, yes.
well, yeah,
So,
I would do more content and collaborate. I just don't know what to do. So if you have any suggestions, just text them to me. I would like to do that, to be honest. Ever since
I'm going to read these last
like
comments. Life is about learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable and trusting you somehow will figure out how to land. Nobody said it. It has to be graceful. Absolutely.
Oh, I like
And
that.
then take a fear out of being different. We kind of all are different and have different talents in any way. This is
Amen.
from your Auntie Christina. What a wonderful conversation. Thank you for this. I have a 5-year-old son with autism, and I've been in and out taking care of the kiddo. I will definitely watch the full replay. And she also is a counselor, and I think that would be an awesome, amazing discussion to have with you ladies and Christina and her, who's raising one and has some some educational, and she is a counselor in Texas. So we had a wonderful conversation. I don't think this needs to be the only one, and I hope you girls will come back, because I
Yeah.
really think that we could do a lot more of spreading autism in a powerful way, not just from behavioral therapy in the home, but in a whole, just accepting autism as an entirety. Hope you guys had fun, because I know I did. I always like seeing you guys. You're like family. You
and
know
I
That's
that.
don't know if
great.
people can comment on the video, if people have questions and stuff,
Yes.
Meredith and I can, reach out to you.
Yes.
And, spreading awareness is my ultimate goal. I want to like tattoo that on my forehead, like spreading autism awareness, because so many people are being diagnosed every day. There's hundreds of children being diagnosed, and it's like, where do we go from here? And
Exactly.
if we could start an outline or maybe a series of, okay, you got diagnosed, now what? You know what I mean? So I'm, where to find me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have a series, maybe tackle different topics about the
Mhm.
field and
Mhm.
such, like based off of people's comments.
Yeah.
well that
That's
and
something.
one other thing to spread awareness to as well is service dog awareness and what
Mm.
to do with dogs and be there that companies and do that really I saw firsthand. That's like one other thing too that needs awareness.
That would probably be a you thing, because I am not an expert in that at all. You were actually the only
Yeah, it's just
client.
Oh my God, Christina, excuse to do your own live.
Seriously, yes. Get on TikTok and say, you know what I mean? Advocate for yourself and other people. There are millions of people, you know, wanting to connect with someone who they can connect to. And I think that you're, you know, you've been on the internet. How many times have Meredith, your mom, and I said, get off the internet and make friends? You know what? I'm gonna apologize to you because I see that you've developed these amazing friendships in real life with the people that you've met on the internet.
Yeah, I've met them, and I was just like, oh my God, there's a person behind this name.
Yes, finally, 3 people.
Yeah,
So, you know,
and it's growing. She has a friend in us. She has a friend that's become one of my friends that has now become a sister or an aunt, and she's in Australia. So she had it in another country.
Yeah. So, you know,
Yeah.
the internet at the time, I think it consumed you. You were obsessed with being on your phone. So it kind of was a little bit of a negative thing.
But it was
because
like,
you were not present in the moment. Sorry.
No, I was just about to say it was like one of the only ways I could make friends that.
Right. And where we live, well, where you lived, where I live now, South Florida isn't the best place to, you know, it's not the best place for the autism community. Meredith, I know that you left South Florida. Are you in Central Florida or North Florida? Maybe it's a little bit better. You're where?
It's a different vibe here. It's more see, South Florida, there was like so many agencies, and like it seemed like a different agency popped up for, you know, like just like providing ABA services for kids with autism. There were a lot more resources down there because it's a wider population for Medicaid.
Probably up here, there's not where we live now.
I think since COVID, it's changed because, you know,
yeah,
people with Christina's age, there isn't a lot here to meet with a group of people. So yeah, you being on the internet and connecting with people, and it's easier to talk on the internet than it is face to face too. So especially with someone with struggling with communication skills, maybe, you know, and that's something that I wish I would have realized. However, I will say the amount of time that you spent on the phone versus with family was a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
So you weren't very present in the moment.
Yeah.
Too much. So that's why there was like, okay, we need to give and pull.
Pick a time and place. But I have to give it to you. You are meeting up with people from your church more often as well, like in small groups and such. So that's a big improvement there.
Yeah, I think for today, I'm gonna have to talk to Jared. I'm hoping my best friend Shanna, she got off, so I'm hoping maybe they're gonna spend a little bit of time on her birthday. And then October on the 19th, going to Ren Fest. Thank God it's Ren Fest. Oh, it's been a long time.
Ren Fest.
Going to with
the one here is like you could fit 12 of them, in the one in Florida, you could have fit 12 of them. It's huge. The one in Ohio, absolutely huge. It's huge. But the reason why I just want people to understand why I kind of did it this way this time is I wanted to give you an overview of what we kind of went through, and we're just scraping the surface on this, as what our experience was with behavioral therapy coming in the home, what a difference that made, kind of get you to, you know, Christina a little bit, but kind of have you get to know Meredith and Shanna a little bit, so that the next time we talk with them and we have it, we may do a more narrow topic. And I think we'll still go back to behavioral therapy in the home, but because of it, it's why I kind of formed it this way. And I'm like, and understand too, when you're dealing with somebody on the autism spectrum, sometimes you let nature take its course. And Christina being at nighttime, her medication for her focus isn't there, I knew that, the conversation may go in different directions because of that. So understand that will happen even if we do a forum and we have a specific topic. It may go here or there as Christina goes, oh, I remember that. And oh, I remember that. Well, that's part of the autism and the ADHD coming through. So just a little bit of explaining that part of it.
But we embrace it, and we listen
Yes,
to you talk about dogs or whatever,
Yes,
for
Very
15
natural.
minutes because that's what you need to do. But
I'm like that with my friends. Like, I swear, I'm undiagnosed ADHD myself. I swear.
And I want to take a moment before we leave. We're going to end this, but we will be back. I guarantee you. I'm going to take a moment. I want to thank our channel members so much that have you can become a channel member and do the either thank you very much for the 99 cents or become a blessed disco ball for $2.99, and that just gives you movie or videos out early before anybody else does. And so I just want to play just this moment to just thank all our members that are part of this channel.
that is so fun. I was like,
what?
Wait, it didn't play all the way. I couldn't see it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
you gotta put the thing in there. You gotta put the thing in there.
I can tell you that part of the reason I can do that is because of that child right there. She taught me a lot when it came to editing, and I have a wonderful thing because we have a great saying, because Meredith and Shanna are probably going, what in the heck is a disco ball, and why are you talking about a disco ball? But we have a saying on the channel that has just come to life, and that is this. A disco ball is hundreds of pieces of broken glass put together to make a magical ball of light. You ain't broken, you're a disco ball. So that is our saying. That's why people sit there and we talk about the disco balls, and people are like, what are you talking about? But it is the disco ball. And so people have adopted that and love that. That's why we have the thank you very much, just the basic membership, and then we have the blessed disco balls, because we're all broken, but we're all magical balls of light, and we all can help each other and be there for support. So that's what the saying comes from. And that's why the disco balls are going around. And do you remember us talking about Scott, Meredith, and Shannon?
What?
Do you remember talking about Scott Thompson?
Scott Thompson.
That was a friend of yours that was blind.
Yes, down in Florida. Yes. Yeah, that's him playing. I was able to get his album from the 60s and take that off of it and take him. And the song that he happens to be playing is Have You Met Miss Jones? So it was perfect. So he's in our intro and our outro. But again, this child taught me so much when it came to InShot.
Oh, God.
Couldn't teach her how to crochet for nothing.
I swear I didn't intend to. It just happened.
You went where you were needed.
I didn't. She wasn't able to teach her to crochet, but she taught me when it came to all the editing stuff. So I'm very, very thankful.
Very
but
simple.
I thank Shanna and Meredith so much for coming here and participating. It was so good to see you girls. I'm so glad that you chose to stay in our lives and be such a great support and continue to be a mentor to Christina, because that's what you chose to do, because there was just a special connection that happened. And I'm so glad you did. I'm so blessed.
I mean, we were invited. Meredith was the matron of honor. I would have been a bridesmaid. Like, we didn't leave. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, if any viewers out there wanting this to be a series or have any questions, comment below. We will answer them.
I can
Yeah,
answer.
because we're only like 35 guys away from 1K. And the way you
Oh,
can
we
help
can
the
do
channel,
it.
anybody that is looking that says I can't do a membership or do a super chat, realize you can support a channel by going and watch their content. That we still need those 4,000 watch hours. We're probably about
That-
700 hours away, and we'll
Yeah,
get there. But you can go support it.
I was gonna say like, agree, comment is definitely a way you can support, as well as share, watch videos. Just don't spam like, because that's like a whole thing.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
to block you or something. They're
I
bringing
don't
you.
want to be blocked. You're
We
gonna
are
want
So-
challenge.
respectful comments, people.
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
as this is a safe space, you know, that's what I tell people in my autism community on TikTok. It's a safe space. So if you are an individual that is struggling with autism and you don't have the resources for help, you know, come here. This is a safe space. Ask questions. Nobody judges you. We'll answer to the best of our ability, and you know.
And in the description, I will put Shannon's TikTok link. She will send it to me, and I will make sure it's in the description. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. We're going to have Scott take us out. Again, remember, stay connected, you all. It is life-changing. We got you covered. You got us covered. We're greatly appreciated, and be proud of being yourself, because everybody else is taken. I'm certainly proud of my daughter, and more than she will ever know. And I'm so grateful to these two ladies. They were such a help. And I'm so glad I just said, you know what? I need more tools in my toolbox as a parent, because I know it was life-changing. So I'm going to have Scott take us out. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next time. I promise there will be more.
Heart.
I'm putting you down in the down studio for just a few minutes.
Buffalo.
To Scott.
I'll let you hear it.
No, wait, yeah.